Jai Shri Radhe. Day 245, Varta 247, the story of Shri Govind Das. Part 16, Sab Vaishnav Jai Shri Krishna. One day, Shri Gosaiji took Govind Das with him to Mathura to have the holy sight of Shri Kishori. Shri Kishori's dress and ornaments that day were very heavy. Embossed cloth for all his garments, as well as a heavily embroidered shawl. Shri Gosaiji was standing in Shri Kishori's inner sanctum, and Govind Dasji was enjoying his holy sight from the doorway. When Govind Das saw all the heavy garments that he was wearing, he asked the Lord, "Oh Maharaj, are you feeling okay?" Hearing this, Shri Gosaiji looked at Govind Das and smiled. Shri Gosaiji then stepped outside and said to Govind Das, "Oh, Govind Das, you should not have said that." Govind Das replied, "It is the summer, and he has been dressed in all those heavy clothes. What else was there to say?" Shri Gosaiji smiled and kept quiet. Shri Govind Das was a graced and a dear Vaishnava. Part 17. Once Govind Dasji's daughter came there from Antari village. She stayed there for a few days, but Govind Das had never spoken to her. His sister Kanhabai asked him, "You never speak to your daughter. You never even asked her when she arrived. Why so?" Govind Das addressed his sister, "O Kanhaiya, I have only one mind. Should I engage that one mind in my daughter or in Sri Thakurji?" Kanhabai kept quiet. After some days, when Govind Das' daughter was setting off to go back to Antari, Kanhabai took her to meet Shri Gosaiji's daughters and daughters-in-law. Parvati Bahunji gifted Govind Das' daughter lots of saris, blouses and skirts. The other ladies also each gave her something. Then Govind Das' daughter set off. When Govind Das came home, his wife told him, "Your daughter has left." Govind Das asked if anyone had given her anything. Kanhabai told him that the ladies of Shri Gosaiji's household had given her some clothes. Hearing this, Govind Das ran behind the daughter and caught up with her after 2 miles. He addressed his daughter, "Whatever the ladies of Shri Gosaiji's household gave you, you must give them back. It would not be good for you to keep them." The girl returned the items. Govind Das told his wife, "Oh Kanhaiya, why did you not just give her something from your home yourself? You should not have behaved like this." She said nothing. Such was the Lord's grace upon this accomplished Vaishnava, Govind Das. Thus concludes Varta 247, the story of Govinda Swami Govind Das, Sanodhya Brahman from Mahavan, one of the Ashtachart poet friends of the Lord. There is no end to his tale. Continuing now with the story of 248, Varta 248, the story of Chatur Vihari, a Kshatriya from Agra, Bhav Prakash. In the eternal Leela, his name is Chatura, a close Sakhi of Shri Chandrabliji. She manifests from Vishaka and is thus a personification of her Rajasi divine loving sentiment. He was born into a Kshatriya family in Agra. The Kshatriya's house was within Sant Dasji's compound. Chatur Vihari was only 8 when he started to write lovely couplet verses about the Lord. Sant Das recognized that he was a divine soul and always called him over to his house to feed him Mahaprasad. Thereafter, Chatur Vihari would attend the Vaishnava satsangs at night. He listened to the divine discourses and began to feel loving attachment for Shri Gosaiji. One day he made up his mind to go to Gokul to seek initiation from Shri Gosaiji. Part 1. Once Chatur Vihari came to Gokul. He felt very happy when he saw Shri Gosaiji. He saw Shri Gosaiji as Shri Krishna, more beautiful than 1,000,000 cupids, sitting in the lap of Mother Yashoda. He decided to seek shelter in Shri Gosaiji, thinking of him as the Lord himself. He approached Shri Gosaiji and supplicated, "O Maharaj, please accept me as your disciple." Shri Gosaiji told him to go to bathe in Shri Yamunaji, which he did, and he then came And he then came back to stand before Sri Gosaiji, who then initiated him with the Lord's name. As he heard the Lord's name from Sri Gosaiji, his heart was filled with Sri Gosaiji's divine form. Such was Sri Gosaiji's grace upon him. At that very moment, Chatur Vihari composed and sang this poem. Pada Rag Saranga. Shelter at the feet of Sri Vittalnathji makes everything auspicious and removes all sorrow. Their pure lustre is the greatest fortune and wealth. The beauty of his limbs causes waves in the ocean of nectar. His eyes are replete with loving mood. Joy arises from seeing them. When he grants you initiation with the Lord's name, that power releases you from the 3 types of grief and from all sin. Your mind becomes joyous. Thus he is said to be non-different from Sri Giriraj Dharan, the upholder of the Sri Giriraj mountain. The poet Chatur Vihari now sings, worship him alone. Why dance around, making other practices and visiting other places? All of these are contained within him. Then again Chatur Vihari sang, Pada Rag Iman. I readily bow down to those souls who remain day and night close to his feet. Those who serve Sri Vallabh's son are liberated from material life. I am unable to describe the glorious character of those upon whom Sri Gosaiji gazes smilingly. Chatur Vihari now sings, please count me amongst your own. I am, whether good or bad, yours alone. Sri Gosaiji was very pleased when he heard this composition and said to the poet, tomorrow you should take the Brahmasambandh initiation in the presence of Sri Gosaiji, of Sri Navneet Priyaji. Go and bathe early and then come to me. The next day, Chatur Vihari bathed early in the morning and then came to stand in Sri Navneet Priyaji's temple. During the Sringar period of Seva, Sri Gosaiji initiated him with the Brahmasambandh. Chatur Vihari then gained the inner vision of all the Lord's eternal Leelas. That day was the festival called Dan. He sang this poem, Rag Vilaval. We always go to sell our yogurt by this path. Have you now become its owner to control us? Why are you creating this drama with us? It's a strange demeanour. You are assuming so. If you wish to dish out orders, go back and lord it over your cowherd friends. You may be the head of the Yadu clan, but the praise sung of you as such has become your bane. You are not the ruler of this path. Chatur Vihari now sings, O Krishna, you hold up the Sri Giriraj mountain, but you are full of deceit. In these narrow lanes of Gokul, you are acting like an agent in a big market. Hearing this, Sri Gosaiji was very happy and recognized that Chatur Vihari had gained insight into the Lord's pastimes. Thereafter, day or night, Chatur Vihari sang such kirtans to Sri Gosaiji. Whenever Sri Gosaiji had completed the arti and come to sit in his betak, then Chatur Vihari sang his new compositions before him. He never wasted a single moment. In the late evenings after Sri Gosaiji had gone to take rest, Chatur Vihari enjoyed talking with the Vaishnavas who gathered in the courtyard. In the night time he slept there as well. Thus many days passed until Sri Gosaiji decided to go to Srinathji Dwar to have the holy sight of Sri Govind and Nathji. Chatur Vihari accompanied Sri Gosaiji there. When they arrived, Sri Gosaiji bathed and entered the temple. It was lunchtime and Sri Gosaiji made the offerings. When the lunchtime seva was completed, the arti was done and the Lord took a nap. Sri Gosaiji descended the mountains and sat in Sri Betak. And in his Betak, Chatur Vihari was feeling very happy after having the holy sight of Sri Govind and Nathji. He went to the Betak and bowed low before Sri Gosaiji, who asked him, O Chatur Vihari, did you have the holy sight of Sri Nathji? Chatur Vihari replied, O Maharaj, I did. The joy arising therefrom is indescribable. Sri Gosaiji went off to partake of Mahaprasad, and he then gave to Chatur Vihari a plate of Mahaprasad, which he ate. Then Sri Gosaiji sat in his betak. Chatur Vihari ji stood and fanned him. He sang kirtans as he did so. Many days passed in this way. For as long as Chatur Vihari lived, he never went anywhere other than Srinathji Dwar or Gogul. When Sri Gosaiji returned home, Sri Gosaiji went off to partake of Mahaprasad. He then gave to Chatur Vihari a plate of Mahaprasad, which he ate. Then when Sri Gosaiji sat in his betak, Chatur Vihari stood and fanned him. He sang kirtans as he did so. Many days passed in this way. For as long as Chatur Vihari lived, he never went anywhere other than Sri Nachidwar or Gokul. When Sri Gosaiji returned from Nachidwar to Gokul, Chatur Vihari accompanied him, and there he had the holy sight of Sri Nachi. He would sit for a long time taking in the sight, and he did this every day. If Sri Gosaiji was in Nachidwar and ascended the mountain to have the Lord's holy sight, then Chatur Vihari stayed close to him all the time. Sri Govind Naji allowed Chatur Vihari his direct experience, and Chatur Vihari composed many songs for him. Bhav Prakash. Therefore, when a Vaishnava has firm faith, then Sri Naji fulfills all their spiritual desires. When living in this material world, the essence of life is seva to the Lord, an association with accomplished Vaishnavas. A Vaishnava should always, in full surrender, sing the Lord's praises. This is the principle here. Thus concludes Varta 248, the story of Chatur Vihari, Kshatriya from Agra, who was the recipient of Sri Gosaiji's great grace and an accomplished Vaishnava. And there is no end to his story. Continuing tomorrow with Varta 249, Aaj ke Anand ki Jai. We'll pause here. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Shri Krishna, Sabko Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Sab Vaishnavon ko Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.